Have you ever wondered why the price of your groceries keeps going up, or why getting a mortgage suddenly feels impossible? You might think it's just bad luck or the economy having a rough patch. But what if I told you there's a hidden force pulling the strings, a tool so powerful it can sway the fortunes of millions, and it's all centered around one single number, the interest rate? Today, we're diving deep into how interest rates are used as a tool of mass manipulation, shaping your decisions, your wealth, and your future, often without you even realizing it. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is an interest rate? Simply put, it's the cost of borrowing money. When you take out a loan, you pay back the original amount plus interest. When you save money in a bank, the bank pays you interest. This concept is managed primarily by a country's central bank, like the Federal Reserve in the United States. Their main job is to keep the economy stable, control inflation, and maintain employment. And their primary weapon, you guessed it, the interest rate. So, how does this become a tool for manipulation? It starts with a simple cycle. When the economy is sluggish, central banks want to encourage spending and investment. They do this by lowering interest rates. Suddenly, borrowing money becomes cheap. Businesses see this as a green light to expand. They can take out loans at a low cost to build new factories, hire more people, and develop new products. For individuals, lower rates mean cheaper mortgages and car loans. That dream house or new car is now more affordable. Credit card interest is lower, so you feel more comfortable swiping that card. The message from the top is clear: spend, spend, spend. The economy gets a shot of adrenaline, and everything seems to be booming. People feel richer, jobs are plentiful, and optimism is in the air. This is the easy money phase. But here's where the manipulation kicks in. This period of easy money can't last forever. All that spending and borrowing eventually leads to inflation. With more money chasing the same amount of goods and services, prices start to rise. Your dollar just doesn't buy as much as it used to. This is when the central bank has to slam on the brakes. They start raising interest rates. Now, the entire dynamic flips. Borrowing becomes expensive. That business loan for expansion is no longer attractive. The cost of financing new projects skyrockets, so companies pause their plans and might even start laying people off to cut costs. For you, that mortgage payment you were considering is now hundreds of dollars more per month. Your credit card debt becomes a heavier burden. The message changes from spend to save. People start cutting back. They eat out less, delay big purchases, and focus on paying down debt. This slowdown is intentional. The central bank is deliberately cooling down the economy to bring inflation under control. They are engineering a slowdown, which often feels like a recession to the average person. This cycle of boom and bust, orchestrated through interest rates, has profound psychological effects. During the low-rate periods, a sense of FOMO, or fear of missing out, is created. Asset prices, like stocks and real estate, get inflated. Everyone seems to be getting rich. You see your friends buying bigger houses and flipping stocks for a profit, and you feel pressure to jump in, often taking on more risk and debt than you should. The media amplifies this with headlines about a roaring stock market and a hot housing market, further fueling the frenzy. You are being manipulated by the environment of easy credit to make financial decisions based on emotion rather than sound judgment. Then, when rates rise, the psychological manipulation shifts from greed to fear. The narrative changes to one of impending doom. Headlines scream about recession, market crashes, and job losses. The same assets that were soaring now come crashing down. People who bought at the peak, driven by FOMO, are now facing huge losses. They panic sell their stocks at the bottom or find themselves trapped in a house that is worth less than their mortgage. This fear leads to conservative behavior, hoarding cash, and avoiding any form of investment, which further slows down the economy. The emotional whiplash is immense, and it's a direct consequence of the interest rate lever being pulled. So, who really benefits from this cycle? While central banks argue it's for the greater economic good, the reality is that the wealthy and well-connected are often best positioned to profit. They have access to sophisticated financial advice and can see the writing on the wall. They borrow heavily when money is cheap to acquire assets, like real estate or entire companies. Then, when the market is high, they sell those assets to the everyday person who's just catching on. When the crash comes, they use their cash reserves to buy up those same assets at bargained-in prices from the people who were forced to sell in a panic. The cycle effectively transfers wealth from the middle class to the ultra-rich. It's a game, and if you don't know the rules, you're destined to be a pawn. This isn't just about stocks and houses, it affects your everyday life in subtle ways. Interest rates influence currency exchange rates. When a country has high interest rates, foreign investors are attracted to it, strengthening the currency. This makes imports cheaper but exports more expensive. If you live in that country, you might enjoy cheaper imported goods, but local industries that rely on exporting their products will suffer, leading to job losses in those sectors. It also creates societal division. The haves and the have-nots are separated by their relationship with debt. Older generations who own their homes outright benefit from high interest rates on their savings. Younger generations, however, are crushed by the high cost of borrowing needed to get on the property ladder in the first place. This creates intergenerational tension and widens the wealth gap. One group is being rewarded while the other is being punished, all by the same policy tool. So, what can you do? The first step is awareness. Understanding that these cycles are intentionally created allows you to detach emotionally. Instead of getting swept up in the hype of a boom or the despair of a bust, you can see it for what it is, a predictable pattern. This knowledge empowers you to make rational decisions. When everyone is panicking, it might be a time to look for opportunities. When everyone is euphoric, it's a time to be cautious. Secondly, focus on what you can control. Build a solid financial foundation. This means having an emergency fund, living below your means, and avoiding unnecessary debt, especially high-interest credit card debt. This financial cushion makes you less vulnerable to the shocks of the interest rate cycle. You won't be forced to sell your assets at a loss or take on crushing debt just to get by. Third, think long-term. Instead of trying to time the market, which is nearly impossible, adopt a consistent, long-term investment strategy. Whether the market is up or down, continue to invest a set amount regularly. This approach, known as dollar-cost averaging, smooths out the bumps and reduces the temptation to make emotional decisions based on short-term market noise. The world of finance can feel complex and intimidating, but at its core, it's driven by human behavior, which is often manipulated by tools like interest rates. By pulling back the curtain and seeing how the machine works, you're no longer just a cog. You can navigate the system, protect your wealth, and maybe even use the cycles to your advantage. It's not about beating the system, but about understanding it so it doesn't beat you. Thanks for watching. If you found this insightful, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. Stay curious. Stay informed.